Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Hedging Screens podcast. As always, I'm your host, Zach Cronin, and I am so thrilled that you chose to spend a few minutes here with me today. How's everybody doing out there? Are you doing well? You having a good week, good month, good year, whatever? I hope you are. Since the last time we talked, the NBA Finals have started, so that's been a fun time to put it mildly. At the time of this recording, it's Tuesday. It is a sunny Tuesday here on Long Island. A little chilly, but it's October. What is it? October 5th? 5th or so? Yeah, so obviously, what else would you expect? So far, there have been 3 games played between the Los Angeles Lakers and the Miami Heat. And thus far, it's been a very fascinating face-off between these two. Los Angeles currently leads 2-1. Game 4. Game 4? Yeah, Game 4 is going down Tuesday night, which is tonight at the time of this recording. When this episode goes up, Game 4 will have already concluded, and by that point, we will be looking at either a 3-1 Lakers lead or a series that's tied at 2 games apiece. And heading into this evening's game, I really don't know what to expect. As I said earlier, it's been fascinating to watch these two teams go back and forth against one another. Game 1, series starts, LeBron and the Lakers come out, and they just bamboozle the Heat. The final of that game was 116-98, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn. Holy shit. Whoa. I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, but as I said last week, I expected Game 1 to be a blowout by either side, and Miami came out and straight up just looked flat. They did not look like the Miami Heat who just rolled to the NBA Finals. I mean, they let Anthony Davis get loose. I'm about to pull up the box score. They let Anthony Davis get loose, dropped 34, I believe. 34. LeBron had a triple-double, 25 points. Oh, no, he didn't. Pardon me. 25 points, 13 boards, 9 assists, finished 1 assist shy of a triple-double. Whatever. And it was just overall a very lackluster and overall a very uninspiring performance from the Miami Heat, who really struggled against the Lakers defense. They shot just not even 43% overall, were just 11 of 35 from 3, did not get to the free throw line that often. Jimmy Butler was really the only bright spot for the team, having 23 points. Kendrick Nunn also had 18 points off the bench, but what happened in Game 1 was Miami lost Bam Adebayo and Goran Dragic. And when I saw those two gentlemen leave the contest, I immediately thought that this series, it was going to be a wrap. I thought that games 2, 3, 4, it was over, because one of the reasons why I picked Miami to win the title this year was their depth. And Bam and Dragic helped make that team so much deeper and so much more versatile. Now, they're forced to bring in guys who really aren't accustomed to playing that much. Solomon Hill saw a lot of time. Kelly Olynyk saw a lot of time. Andre Iguodala, Kendrick Nunn, those guys hadn't really been playing that much throughout the postseason because they didn't need to. Eric Spoelstra had 7-8 guys that he could call on, and it's a big reason why they ran through the Eastern Conference. So, as you would expect, Game 1, I was very confident that the Lakers would run away with this series, and Game 2 furthered that. It was another double-digit victory by the Lakers, 124-114. Again, Miami's defense was not that great. Actually, you know what? To be fair, neither team was that great defensively. I mean, when you have 238 combined points, no one's really doing much of anything. Both teams shot over 50% from the floor. Miami actually shot 41% from 3, which was very I don't want to say surprising, but it definitely helped keep their offense from just wallowing in the mud. Again, Jimmy Butler had another solid performance, 25 points, 13 assists. Kelly Olynyk had 24 points off the bench. And this game, considering the circumstances, and those circumstances being no Bam and no Dragic, considering that, Miami made out way better than I thought they were going to. I thought that they were just going to get stomped on. Anthony Davis, LeBron they were going to crush what was left of the Miami Heat, and that was obviously not the case. It was kind of naive of me to think that, considering what Jimmy Butler has done for this team and how he won't let this team go down without a fight, which is something that I think everyone who watches the NBA very much admires about Jimmy Butler, how he's a competitor to the nth degree. And that's a big reason why Miami has been so successful. But again, Miami struggled to contain LeBron and AD. They both went for 30 plus. They combined for 65. 65 of the Lakers, 124 points. KCP chipped in 11, although his performance was kind of forgettable, shooting 4-14 from the floor. Rondo had a nice showing as well. I felt that he was going to be huge in this series, and he was vital in the Lakers pulling out that Game 2 victory. Dropped 16 and 10. Kuzma also chipped in 11 points, but after this game, I felt even more confident that the Lakers were going to sweep the Miami Heat. And I didn't know if it was just going to be them trouncing them or if it was going to be a slugfest through the final two games. I didn't really know what to expect, but I was expecting a Lakers sweep, naturally. So Sunday night rolls around. I'm chilling. Put the finals game on. It was a total 180. And I think anyone who watched that game noticed that it was a complete just role reversal. Much like how Miami came out to start the series uninspired, the Lakers replicated that in Game 3, and they took their feet off the gas. For whatever reason, it didn't look like they played with much urgency, frankly. And I think everybody observed that. I know Jeff Van Gundy, Mark Jackson, Mike Breen, the commentators noticed that. Like, it was not the Lakers team that we were accustomed to. I mean, LeBron James played kind of poorly. He had 25, 10, and 8, but also had 8 turnovers. And Anthony Davis was simply non-existent for whatever reason. And I'm watching the game. And again, they're without Bam and without Dragic. You would think that Anthony Davis would find a way to get more than 9 shots in 33 minutes. That is simply unacceptable. For the Lakers to be successful, Anthony Davis has to be the most aggressive guy on the court. That's how they're going to win basketball games. And it's no disrespect to LeBron James, but as we've seen, he's not the same player he once was. And I think he's noticing that, and he kind of defers to Anthony Davis more often than not because, as I've said before, Anthony Davis is 7 feet tall, thick, strong, super athletic, has a deep bag, can score from all 3 levels. Like, I don't know if there's anybody in the league who can guard Anthony Davis, especially not on the Miami Heat, and even more so with Bam Adebayo injured. It's not something that I think they can do effectively. They made me eat my words on Sunday, for sure. But the crazy thing to me is that even though Anthony Davis only attempted 9 shots, he was 6 of 9. He missed 3 shots all night long. He finished with only 15 points. I would have just fed him the ball and been like, hey, you need to make plays. Because the rest of the starters didn't do shit. KCP and Danny Green made 1 shot between both of them. And they took 11 total attempts. Dwight Howard only got 2 attempts himself, but he's not someone who's going to propel the offense forward. The bench was actually kind of decent. Kyle Kuzma and Markieff Morris both were very impressive. 38 points between the two of them. But the reason the Lakers lost this game was not solely because of Anthony Davis, but it was the trickle-down effect. He looked disengaged. He was not with it at all. He didn't even look like he was a part of the game plan for whatever reason. And that radiated. LeBron was doing everything in his power to keep the team afloat, but if AD isn't doing anything and the rest of the team isn't doing anything, LeBron can't sustain the levels of play that we saw from him in the past. He simply can't do it anymore. Not for 40 minutes worth. I mean, he'll pick his spots, but he usually can do that when Anthony Davis is up at 25, 26, 27 points per game. And as much as I'm enjoying bashing the Lakers for playing as poorly as they did, I was just so beyond dazzled by what Jimmy Butler did Sunday night. I mean, it was one of the greatest NBA Finals performances I have ever witnessed. He looked like 2016 LeBron, like 40 points, 13 assists, 11 rebounds, shot 14 of 20 overall, played 45 minutes, and willed the Miami Heat to victory. If Jimmy Butler does not put together that type of game, Miami is heading into tonight's game, and probably getting swept. Like, Jimmy Butler had to move mountains for the Heat to pull off this victory. Like, I was watching him, and every time he touched the ball, something good happened. He made shots that were just like that I didn't even know he had in his arsenal. He was making passes that I didn't know Jimmy Butler could make, because no disrespect, and I wonder if y'all can hear my chair creaking, because that shit's loud as hell. I can hear it through my headphones. Holy shit. Anyway, back to reality. Like, Jimmy Butler, as fantastic a player as he is, I never in a million years would I expect this type of performance from him. And I apologize to Jimmy if this were to ever come across his iPhone. I apologize for that. But, I mean, I just didn't feel he was in that tier. After Sunday, Jimmy Butler, this series is anybody's series now. However, the only thing is that Jimmy will have to continue to play at this level, and I don't know if it's sustainable. Because, again, let's just go over the stat line. In 45 minutes, he scored 40 points, handed out 13 assists, went to the free throw line 14 times, and took 20 shots overall. On top of this, he was defending LeBron James. If I remember correctly, he wanted to defend LeBron James. I might be misremembering it, but either way, he was still involved on the defensive end. He got 2 steals and 2 blocks. That is just an immense workload for anybody to have. If this is what it takes for the Heat to come back, I don't know how much I believe in it. Because, again, that's a lot of stress on his body more than anything else. Like, he is all over the court doing quite literally everything for this team. I mean, Tyler Hero had 17, Duncan Robinson had 13, Jay Crowder had 12, Kelly Olynyk had 17, and I don't know how many of their points came directly from Jimmy Butler, but I can assure you it was a decent amount. If Jimmy Butler has to do this for Miami to win, I don't know if he can. I hope that he does, because it would be fantastic to watch, but I have to see it. I have to see him do it tonight again in order to be a full believer. Now, I should have checked this earlier, but Jimmy Butler won't have to ball out like this if Dragic and Bam are healthy. I believe they are both questionable for Game 4. I'm checking that right now. Okay, so this is from Shams Charania of The Athletic. He tweeted, what was this? Last night at about 5 o'clock. The Heat's Bam Adebayo has been upgraded to questionable for Game 4, and Goran Dragic is doubtful. Even Bam coming back means that Jimmy Butler will automatically not have to do all of this, which is good for him. He can focus more on just playing his game, because Bam, fortunately, is someone who can put up 15 to 18 points a game. He can move the basketball. More importantly, he can defend Anthony Davis, which, I mean, If AD's only looking for 9 shots, that makes Bam's life a lot easier, and that means he can, contend more on the offensive end. But that's really what's gonna make or break not only this game but the rest of the series. And I'm fully expecting Eric Spoelstra to keep this rotation as deep as possible. Pardon me as I scratch this itch, because we don't know if Bam is going to have a minutes restriction. I doubt it, because this is the NBA Finals and you want your best players out there. But I think Eric Spoelstra, Jesus, I'm beating the shit out of this microphone. I'm expecting Eric Spoelstra to be very picky with Bam's minutes. Like, if they don't need him on the court, he's not going to be out there. Maybe I'm wrong, but he'll definitely be there to start the game if he plays. Again, he is questionable. He'll be starting. He will definitely be on the court in the fourth quarter if the game is close. And then he may get inserted as Miami really needs it, because I think if the Lakers were smart, they would find a way to get Anthony Davis more involved. Bam's going to have to be out there. And if Bam is guarding him, I think Frank Vogel and LeBron, they're going to be like, hey, Bam is not at 100% most likely. You need to take advantage of this matchup. And I mean, even a couple days ago, they were having great success getting to the line. They shot 29 free throws, made 22. There were 4 players on the Heat who had at least 4 fouls. Robinson, Crowder, Olynyk, and Kendrick Nunn had 5. Like, if that's what the Lakers are going to have to do, if they're going to have to play bully ball, so be it. But right now, this is their series to lose. But I feel that Miami is very capable of tying the series and potentially coming back from a 2-1 deficit. Again, this is largely based on the play of Jimmy Butler and the health of Goran Dragic and Bam Adebayo. God forbid something happens and those two aren't there. Jimmy Butler is going to have to average like a 35-point triple-double. Like, I don't see him being able to get away with anything less. Like, that's what's got to be done. And fortunately, I think Jimmy Butler is someone who will definitely take that assignment and take that challenge in stride. But the level of success is something that I'm not so sure about. And another thing I wanted to touch on was the Lakers kind of running off the court prematurely at the end of Game 3. Of course, it was going to be news. The NBA Finals are going to be news regardless of what happens. And I don't really know what the consensus on it is, but it's not the first time we've seen a team leave the court early after losing. I know the Bad Boy Pistons did it like 30 years ago or whatever. Even so, not really a good look. If I could just like transport myself into the mind of one of these guys, right? You had all of the momentum going into this game. It was yours to lose, and you flat out lost it. You couldn't contain Jimmy Butler. He dominated anybody who defended him. You looked flat. The offense looked flat. The defense looked flat. You weren't getting good shots down the stretch of the game. I mean, the Lakers were clearly upset with themselves, and I think they knew that. I think LeBron was upset with himself as well. I think all the guys were. They're professionals. They're going to take accountability in the NBA Finals. Been like, listen, straight up, we played like dog shit, and when you're on the court, like things are different. Like you're just thinking about the game, and I feel they were all just frustrated. They were like, fuck it, there's 2 seconds left. Like I really don't think it's that big of a deal. Should they have stayed? It's easy for me to say yes because it's the nice thing to do, but like, what are you gonna do? Shake hands with each other? Like I don't know. I think that it's a little overblown. Quite frankly, I'm indifferent on the whole thing. Like, it doesn't really bother me. If they want to pout about losing, I think that they have the right to. they're upset that they lost this game. I mean, it's what happens. Like, this is their livelihood. They're playing for the fucking championship. Like, this isn't some random ass exhibition game before the All-Star break. Like, this is the end of the road. And again, everything that's riding on this, then just this is legacy impacting. Like, LeBron wins a fourth title and another MVP, which we'll have to see what the numbers look like when it's all said and done. But I feel if the Lakers win and his numbers are comparable to Anthony Davis's, I think LeBron's gonna get it. But this is all like a career defining championship for LeBron. Like, if he wins this fourth title, he is undeniably in the GOAT debate. I don't care what anybody says. He's, to me, the greatest player of all time. This will only further cement his legacy. And then you look at Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis finally breaks through, wins the title, and further establishes himself as potentially one of the all-time greatest power forwards ever. Like, his resume, his statistics are impeccable. A title only makes him stronger. And then you look at a guy like Jimmy Butler. You know, this is someone who's bounced around the league and has produced wherever he's gone. Chicago, Minnesota, Philadelphia. Philadelphia 76ers should have kept Jimmy Butler. And that's something I might touch on a little later when I get to Doc Rivers. But he shouldn't have left Philly. And now goes to Miami. And he's on the verge of winning a title, where if he wins, he's probably going to win Finals MVP. That drastically impacts how people look at Jimmy Butler. How this dude literally willed the 5th seed in the East to an NBA Finals victory over Giannis and the Milwaukee Bucks, the back-to-back regular season MVP, and a team who put together one of the most dominant regular seasons of all time, and then just to go and beat LeBron and AD and this Lakers team, who also, very much like the Bucks, ran through everybody in the regular season. Like, it really impacts how we look at someone like Jimmy Butler. And like, that all plays into the emotions. And I mean, I don't know, I don't want to speculate, but who knows? Maybe if the Heat were in the Lakers situation, they would have done the same thing. I mean, as we know, Jimmy Butler is very competitive. And when he's on the court, he's a very emotional guy. And there's nothing wrong with that. But like, sometimes the emotions boil over and you do things that, you know, kick up some dust. It's unfortunate, but that's the world we live in. Me, I don't really care about it that much. I'm more focused on the basketball aspect of it. And I mean, look, Jimmy Butler was talking shit. He said, I forget when it was exactly, but you know, the Heat get on a run and he starts saying how the Lakers are in trouble. And like, that's just what happens when you get a bunch of guys on the court together. But I'm very excited to watch the end of this series because it's shaping up to be a heater, no pun intended. I expected hold on, let me try to get these words out. I expected the series to go 6 or 7 games, 6 games at the least, because again, it's the finals and neither one of these teams is significantly better than the other. I touched on this last week. The Lakers have LeBron and AD, but the Heat are much deeper than them and have several more playmakers than they do. So it all balances out. This isn't like the when the Warriors and the Cavaliers played and when was it? 2018 or whatever. And they smacked them straight up. I mean, you had KD, Steph, Clay, Draymond going up against LeBron. Like, that wasn't going to end well for anybody. But yeah, dude, like, overall, it's been a very impressive couple of games. Again, I think that this series is going to be dictated by the runs that these two teams go on. Like, it's going to be back and forth all the way. And just depending on when these runs strike. Hold on, what are we looking at? Shams is tweeting something. Okay, never mind. Just depending on when these runs strike, one of them might lose it at the end. Like, it's very tough for me. It's very tough for me to... I don't even know what I'm trying to say right now. Fuck it, bro. I was like trying to think of this, but at the same time, like, I'm trying to read all the stats and shit, and it's not working. And I already had a couple cups of coffee this morning, so I don't know why my brain is not cooperating, but like I don't know. I simply can't stress it enough. Like, I'm very excited to watch how this game play, to watch how these subsequent games play out, because I think they're just going to be absolutely phenomenal. I mean, if we get, LeBron and Jimmy Butler trading buckets, talking shit, going at each other, like that's finals basketball. That's what you want. You want the best players on the best teams making plays. And thus far, we've gotten 3 games of that. And with that, I want to shift gears and head over to the Eastern Conference, specifically the Philadelphia 76ers. It was reported a few days ago that Doc Rivers would be the new head coach of the Philadelphia 76ers. This just mere days after being let go by the Los Angeles Clippers, which oh yeah, the news broke on October 1st. I don't remember when Doc got fired, but it was only like 4 or 5 days before that, if I remember correctly. I believe I said it last week, but Doc is automatically the best coach on the market. Philadelphia let Brett Brown go after I don't even know how many years and a couple disappointing results in the playoffs. But one thing that I think really needs to be talked about is the Sixers. Pardon me. Is that the Sixers? I don't believe they ever had a coaching problem. Although at some point they would have needed to upgrade over Brett Brown. Like, it gets to a point where you need to bring in an elite head coach like Doc Rivers to put your team to that next level. I don't think that Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons are an issue. I think the issue is management. More specifically, the decisions that management has made over the last few years. As this team stands right now, let me pull up the roster. The construction of this team is just, I don't even have words to describe it, because I've talked about it so many times, and each time I try to think of just a new adjective, a new phrase, a new something to articulate my disappointment in the Sixers front office. So I'm going to head over to the salary page next season, 2020, 2021. Whenever that happens, whether it's Christmas Day, whether it's January, whether it's March, whenever Adam Silver decides is the appropriate time, the Sixers have Tobias Harris, Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, Al Horford, and Josh Richardson. They're also paying Mike Scott, Matisse Thybulle. Those guys are all making minimum deals, right? How do you expect Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid to work in a system where they're just not properly complemented, right? Look at how Ben Simmons plays. Can't shoot. Isn't much of a shot creator for himself, but he is a 6'10" point guard. He is a fantastic passer, a fantastic floor general, just overall a great conductor of the offense. Pair him with Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid is an S-tier center, arguably the best young center in the league, can do a little bit of everything. Granted, he might settle for a little too many threes every now and then, but what are you going to do? He can put up 27 and 13 in his sleep, really? What do you think would be the best way to complement those guys? I can tell you. It was the team they had, when was it? 2 years ago? JJ Redick, Jimmy Butler, Tobias Harris, that squad. That was the best iteration of the Philadelphia 76ers. You had shooters in Redick and Harris, and you had a perimeter shot creator in Jimmy Butler. They They don't have those anymore. Instead, they have Al Horford, who is a fantastic center, just not on this team. They signed him so that way he wouldn't bully Joel Embiid in the postseason. Again, it's not a move I didn't like that move at all. They brought in Josh Richardson. Oh my God, fucking can't say that name. in the Jimmy Butler sign and trade. And as much as I like Richardson, J Rich, I'm just gonna call him J Rich. He's not Jimmy Butler. Tobias Harris is not Jimmy Butler. The two of them together are not Jimmy Butler, and they're not JJ Redick. So it's a step down at that spot. Mike Scott, Zaire Smith, Matisse Thybulle, Glenn Robinson, like these guys really aren't. I don't want to say they're not impactful players, but their production is minimal at times. And again, I think a lot of it is like this team. The team was not put together properly. Straight up, it doesn't work. There's no cohesion. The play styles don't jive with one another. Overall, just a very poor job by the Sixers front office. I don't think Brett Brown would have been able to develop a system that sorted out all these fucking problems. And I don't think Doc Rivers is going to be able to do that either, because the issues are damn near unfixable unless you trade away some of these guys and bring in players who fit, maybe. Like, I think that Doc Rivers is going to get the shit end of the stick when it's all said and done. Like, he's not inheriting the best situation. And again, it's not because of Simmons and Embiid. It's because of the front office. Like, unless they plan on doing an overhaul, then I can't see it. I can't see it working. I think that they're just going to continue to hover around like the 48, 51 win mark, be 4 or 5 seed in the East, and just get bounced in the first or second round each year. Like, unless something drastic changes. And I don't know if it is. Also, I don't know if they have the time to even go through that, because you got to think of it like this, right? The organization wasted however many years doing the process, which ultimately worked out very well for them because they got 2 franchise players in Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons. But they waded through so much shit and they fucked up so many times that it's almost like that's continuing. And they're still just like thinking that they'll luck into I don't know if they'll think they'll just luck into a third guy who can transform this team. It's like, no. Good organizations are good organizations because they are problem solvers, they develop talent, and they seek out the talent that will make their team better. There is a little bit of luck involved, but the Sixers have that luck already. And I think they're on the verge of wasting the careers of Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons. I think it's only like 2 or 3 more years until one of these guys gets so disgruntled that they just demand a trade. And at that point, it's just like, it's curtains. The Sixers are going to have to start over, and they may or may not have a plan. I just think it's a very unfortunate situation for Doc Rivers to look into. And he could have gone anywhere else. He could have gone to Indiana. I like the Pacers a lot. I mean, just very, very, very strange. Very strange. I don't even know what else to say about that situation. I think I've slandered the Sixers enough. Maybe something will happen in the offseason that makes me change my mind. Maybe they trade Ben Simmons to Golden State for the 2nd overall pick and draft, I don't know, LaMelo Ball, Anthony Edwards, somebody. I don't know. I think that's unlikely. If I were the Sixers, I'm not sure I would do that trade. But again, that's all speculation. I don't think there's anything else basketball related that I wanted to get to. Usually when Excuse me. Usually with the NBA Finals going on, not much happens. I don't know if that's intentional, just, because you don't want to take eyeballs and attention away from the finals. But, I mean, we got a game tonight. This will go up. That game will have already been decided. All of the thoughts that I express are excluding game 4, obviously, because a lot can change tonight. I don't know if it will, but I'm very excited to watch. And before I go, it is that time of the week. It is my fantasy football recap. Week 4 was a very interesting one in the NFL world, mainly because they had this. I don't want to call it a COVID outbreak, because I think that's a little disingenuous. But a lot of people got sick. The Titans had a bunch of guys. Vikings had a couple guys. Cam Newton, above all else, he was the biggest name player to get sick, and his positive test really forced the NFL to act. They postponed the Chiefs-Patriots game from Sunday to Monday. I thought the decision was a little strange until I later found out that they had to have back-to-back days of negative tests, which that makes sense. So Cam Newton tests positive Friday, do testing on Saturday, no one came back. Do testing again on Sunday, nobody came back. Therefore, the game was good to go on Monday. I did not watch any of the game because I was busy. I don't know what the fuck I was doing, but I was following it, and this is the long-winded way of saying that I have improved to 3-1. I am in a 4-way tie for first place. I'm third because I have the third highest amount of points scored, and I could have been first. I could have been first or second, but Calvin Ridley put up a fat fucking 0 last night. I'm not upset. I still got the win. I wasn't really prepared for him to pop off anyway, because I know he had been dealing with, I believe it was a hamstring injury, and also the Falcons are just kind of garbage. So I don't know. I thought that it was going to be, if anything, he was just going to put up maybe like 5 receptions, 50 yards, maybe a cool 10 points. But no, he got 0. I think he was only targeted like 5 times. So that hamstring was definitely bothering him. Fortunately, I had gotten big performances from Amari Cooper with 33, Chris Carson, Dalton Schultz, and what's his name? Austin Hooper. Pretty much carried my team to victory this week. So shout out to those guys. Patrick Mahomes had 20, which helped push me over the edge, because my homeboy Ant, he only had one dude going last night, and that was MVS, Valdez Scantling, for the Packers. I was very, very nervous heading into that game last night, because I hadn't built up enough separation between myself and him. So if MVS got anywhere around like 2021, I was down. Fortunately, Patrick Mahomes threw a couple short touchdowns. I would have wished they were like 50, 40 yarders, but whatever. Threw a couple short touchdowns. N'Keal Harry caught a touchdown late in the game as well, which provided enough separation. The final score was 144.9 to 131.5. So little bit of a nail biter, but I'll take whatever wins I can get. I'm also fortunate that AJ Green did absolutely nothing yesterday. He started Joe Burrow over Tom Brady, which in theory is the right move, but Tom Brady just, five touchdown passes, 300 plus yards, just spectacular performance. So I'm up to 3-1. Michael Thomas is expected to come back this Sunday. I think that's about it. Yeah. Thomas is coming back. Hopefully Calvin Ridley gets healthy. And with that, I'm going to close it. Thank you guys so much for watching, for listening, for consuming this piece of content. I am very thankful. If you liked it, leave a like. If you're on some sort of podcast provider, subscribe, leave a rating or review. It really helps me out. I appreciate it. And I will see you guys in the next one.